Welcome to Raw Take, everyone, the lifeline to your unfiltered media experience. Before we start the show today, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, like, comment, and share. I'm your host, Gion Thomas, and my co-host, Archie, is battling COVID right now, and he's kicking its ass. So we want to say, pray for Archie and make sure he has a speedy recovery. But this is the Monday live stream, and we have special guest Larry Baggett running for Texas governor in 2022. And today he'll be talking about what inspired him to run for office, his vision for Texas, his policies on the southern border, and government overreach. How you doing, Larry?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm wired and fired for this opportunity to speak to you and your audience out there. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. So, Larry, before we get started, tell us about what made you want to run for office. What made you want to get into politics, man?
Well, it's real simple. I'm 53 years old. I served in the military and done things like that. And it seems to me every time you put someone in a position of responsibility and authority, they tend to let you down. They want to abuse that authority. They want to overstep, and they look at you like, what? What did I do wrong? I'm just doing what everyone else does, and that becomes part of the problem. And what prompted me to step up to run against Governor Abbott, as he and every governor, with the exception too, across this great country of ours, South Dakota and Florida governor says, no, you're not overstepping. You're not suppressing the people in my state. We will work with the issue we have. And Governor Abbott, he overreached that authority, and it's to no end. You entrusted somebody to do it right, and they became just like everybody else due to political pressure. And we need to get that garbage out of Austin and start working for the people again in this great state and across this nation.
Exactly. You know, that's one of the things we talk about heavily here on Raw Take, about politicians not serving the interest, but serving the people interest. And so that is very great, Larry, that's one of the things that you're running on, being accountable to the people. So Larry, let's say you win, you beat down Greg Abbott. What does your first 100 days in office looks like? What are some of the things that you're tackling?
Well, my first 100 days is within 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to cease and desist with this government overreach out of the governor's office. I've already told many people in talking that I would sign an executive order stating if we have to ever shut this state down again for any more than 7 to 10 days, whatever we set down as a limit, then we must have a special legislation to come in and say, okay, is Governor Baggett off his rocker or he's right? And if whatever they decide, it must go to the Texas Supreme Court to ensure that we're not violating the Texas Constitution nor the United States Constitution, because that's real balance of power. Larry Baggett doesn't need unchecked power. Governor Greg Abbott doesn't need unchecked power. No one needs unchecked power. It's that office, Austin, the presidency belongs to the people, not these individuals who were elected to these positions. And forward to that to border. And I've already talked to reporter Maria Rios down with the mission down in Mission, Texas, and I did a kind of brief interview with her recently. And she said, Larry, how would you fix the southern border? I said, first off, I'd put more boots on the ground. I don't care how much technology you have, sir. You have to have the human touch involved in it. And we're going to get control of that border working with our Department of Military in Texas, our law enforcement, and we can't control what the federal people are doing. And they're doing the best they can do because they have no leadership. They're trying to enforce laws. They can't even get their bosses or the people who are supposed to be appointed over them to even support them to enforce the laws. So those are two very important issues to me. And then go on from there, like our oil fed. And if you watched any of my videos, and some of you folks need to go check out Larry Baggett. I've said it tonight. I'm going to say it tonight. I'm going to say it again. is our people in Texas are going to go back to work. We will not be asking permission from the federal government to secure our borders and protect our families. We sure will not be asking them to get our people back to work. And we're going to get our oil fields working again. We're going to move forward. We're not, and I guarantee you this, and maybe this is a little hardline about it, but if there's an OPEC oil rig, a ship that pulls into our harbor in our waters, if I touch power, I will give them so much time to vacate Texas water, because we are not putting Texas out of work no longer, and we're not going to be held hostage by OPEC and these corrupted, multi-wealthy people around the world.
Exactly. Yeah, man, holding these corporations accountable and making them pay their fair share. That's one of the things we definitely gotta get these.
And I want to elaborate a little bit more on this oil field issue. And people talk to me about fossil fuel. I'm not a biochemist. I'm not an engineer. I'm going to tell you from a basic common sense. Okay, Henry Ford. He perfected the main motor housing for the 8-piston housing. He wanted one housing. So Henry Ford goes to his engineer and says, I want you to create one housing for all our pistons. And the engineers looked at basically Henry Ford and said, that's not possible, sir. He said, okay, well, do it anyway. And he persisted to tell them, do it. Okay, you have my permission. And finally, one day somebody said, hey, wait a minute, we can do it. Because they started thinking outside the box. And I want to reach out to the CEOs of these oil companies that are looking for other ways to use these natural resources, that they need to think outside the box. Fossil fuel is not the only choices. It's what they're in the box thinking. But let's be honest, they're innovative thinkers. If they would get off their high horse and their arrogance and listen to the people they hire to do a job, instead of trying to, oh, wow, you're okay, but we could go this way. Think outside the box, and we can get Texans back to work. We have a strong economy now. We can go from number 9 to number 1 if we work together and get the politic garbage out of our way.
Yes. Larry, you said one thing that I mean, you said a lot of great things, but one thing that I really want to hone in is thinking outside the box. There are so many just people that we have just we are just so used to this baseline way of thinking and not trying to think of new ways, these new innovative ways to think outside the box, to try new innovation technologies to better our system, because the old ways are not working. I mean, it's just not. So we gotta think outside the box and to continue to progress forward. So, Larry, what's saying that, I want to ask you about green new technologies. How do you feel about green new technologies and expanding upon that?
Okay, well, green technology, and I have bare minimum knowledge on it. And we seen the last major storm, the last major freeze, they forgot to look at all possibilities. That's why Texans were across this country, across this state, with no power, because they were in the box. Look at it in the box now. What if this happens? Prime example, background in military law enforcement and things of that nature. You always have to think outside the box. You just can't look at what's in front of you. You have to look at what you're not seeing. And that's what happened with this this power source. They believe it's wonderful when you don't have frigid weather. It's wonderful when you have wind. But they did not look at everything. They can't play chess very well, because they'd probably lose chess, and I don't know much about it myself, but I know them little digging things that you. Anyway, the gist of it is they have stepped into a good program and they left it. Yeah. And we found the flaws in it when people across this state of Texas had no power. And then they had the electric company hijacking them with terroristic, charging these crazy numbers, and it's inexcusable. We're living 2021. That's ridiculous. That's bad planning. That's a lack of leadership, a lack of vision. And you and I know, we talk about vision. Vision is very important. Education is, but without vision, you will go nowhere. You can be the most educated person. Without vision, you got nothing.
Yeah.
You just got a bunch of knowledge that, oh, what do I do with this, right? It's like vision. I argue this point all the time. Someone says it's impossible. I hold up my phone. Explain 25 years ago. They would say this is what you and I are doing tonight is impossible. Yeah. Really? They need to tear impossible out of the dictionary, because impossible is just simply someone hadn't come up. Someone hadn't stepped outside the box. So, you know what? We can take this power source, this green power source, and we can make it better. We can minimize the loss of power. And I believe that we really do need to make a minimum impact on our natural resources. I really do. At 53 now, when I was 23, come on. I'd be like, whatever, man, I'm going out this way, right? As you get older, you become aware of this. But I believe very wholeheartedly, whether we're talking oil, we're talking fossil fuels, or we're talking these green power sources out there, right? If we just put our garbage aside, stop playing politics with people's lives and say, hey, man, look, you have knowledge in this area, or look outside the other area. Don't be so arrogant that you have all the answers and no one is as smart as you. That's a very dangerous attitude to take.
Exactly. So, Larry, I want to kind of transition our conversation, and I want to talk about economics, because I think tied with the oil industry and green new technologies is economics, because there's a huge economic just expansion that we can have out here in Texas. So what is your plan to bridge the economic gap here in Texas?
Well, I think one thing what we have to do is we got to get all the Texans back to work. We got to start open our refinery, open our pipelines, start working, and then take the experts. And I should have said this before I started. I am not an expert financial person. I don't proclaim to be one. And like I told someone, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm smart enough to get people smarter than me around me. Because at the end of the day, but the gist of it is we got to get this oil flowing again. We got to put the people back to work, and we got to become financially responsible to the taxpayers. Texas alone is just a federal level. We pay over $216 billion to the federal government. We're actually paying over $100 billion more than more states than are. We're overpaying. And I tell you what, and I'm gonna tell you my resource I got that from. I got that from Daniel Miller, the Texas National Movement. I think you're probably familiar with Mr. Miller. And the thing is, if we're spending, my thought was, if we're overspending $100 billion, we got to figure out a way to put it in our economy, not Washington, D.C., not the coffers, not the bribe monies. And it's bribe monies, ladies and gentlemen. If you're giving somebody something to vote your way, it's called bribe money.
Right.
There ain't a pretty word for it, and politicians don't like that. But it's too bad. They're involved in corruption and bribery. But the end of this is getting folks back to work. But if I could figure out a way as governor that we can keep that $100 billion, the federal government's not going to like me. We ain't going to be buddies, because my first and foremost important is Texas first and Texas last. This flag back here represents the people in this state. It's represent the people who every day, like yourself, you bring a service to the people. You come, I get up at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I drive down the road. I see police. I see first responders out there, ambulance drivers. I see people working in warehouses coming and going. That's what makes this economy. And there is no politician that ever does anything for these economies other than take money away from the people working hard for the money. And we got to get out of the people's pockets and start being responsible to the money that the voters have entrusted us with. Period. It's unacceptable. You mess up your own finances, right? But don't you dare mess up these people's finances. There's too many lives dependent on us to do it right.
Exactly. And that's part of breaching that wealth gap, is doing the correct things with that money and putting that money back into the people, and especially the people of Texas, because there's so many things that we are facing here in Texas. They're defunding our education. They're defunding. I mean, just so many things that they're defunding out here in Texas, and we need that money back into the people, and not the pockets of these corporations, the lobbyists, and the donor class. Because I mean, like you said, Larry, these politicians are taking bribes. Like, that is basically what it is. Ever since they overturned Citizens United, when money equals speech, these big politicians and these corporations and the 1%, all they're doing is buying our politicians, and our government is just more ran like an oligarchy, and the people and the common person is not getting a say, just the mega rich and the corporation.
Well, you're exactly right. It happens when you go listen in Austin. You vote say you vote for Chase West, who's running for House District 132, and you vote him in, and all of a sudden they're out there giving him little special gifts. Come on, Chase, man. Look, you can just see your way. What they've done as voters, you voted these people in the office. They take their butts up to Austin, Texas, and they line up to bribe them, and you can't compete with that. And those special interest group, those money people are running around up there, they need to be kicked out of Austin, because it's disrespectful to every voter across this state to vote for somebody that is going to go up there, going to take a direct or indirect bribe. And you folks in Austin, you better get ready, because if I'm put in that office, it's going to stop on my watch, and I will not be a part of it. You're not going to like what's coming in Larry Baggett, because the people will be able to look to me and say, you know what? I can't believe it. He is an anomaly. That dude's actually going to do what he say. You got that right. Don't be confused. I'm a nice guy, but you're not messing up with the Texas people. We're going to put a stop to it, no matter what it may cost up there.
Yeah, no matter how many feet you got to step on, how many shoes you got to scuff.
You got it. You see, the problem is, I was talking to someone about this at work, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is most people running for office are worried about getting reelected. Well, let me tell you something. If I'm honored by the people of Texas serve as their next governor, my biggest goal is to ensure I leave it a little bit better than I found it, even a little bit. Maybe just inspire that next man like yourself. Maybe you'll say, hey, man, maybe I can go I can make a little difference here. And that's what it's about. I'm not going to make huge leaps and bounds. I'm going up there to fight an establishment who they don't like the word bribes. They don't like the word threaten. They have a very big problem with you and I, because we're not part of the program. And when we vote these people in and they take bribes, why did you even go vote? Why did you even go vote? Because you got no voice in Austin. And I'm very comfortable to say a governor, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, I don't care what your party is. You have to represent all Texans at the best of your humanly possible ability. And right now, come on, let's be honest. The GOP, they're running Governor Abbott. I don't want to be disrespectful to the man, but they're running far right. And if you had a far left Democrat, they'd be running the same thing. But the key thing is, I realize if I'm given the honor to serve, I have to even serve the people that despise me and hate me.
Yeah.
I have to be fair and balanced. And that's the only way a governor can really be truly an effective governor for the people.
For the people. Yeah. And I think, you have to govern for the people and not the special interest. And I think just so many people just forget that, and they lose that along the way. We see so many good politicians who come in with that message, and it's either two things. Either they serve one term because they're too much of a fire starter, or they become part of the corrupted system. So it's just a really bad situation, and that's why we need to collectively come together. We need to put more people who are going to get in there, who's going to bring a hammer and bring a bat and just basically tear down the special interest. That's what we need.
That's it. And I had a dear friend of mine named Carol Youngblood. She's made a comment about upsetting the apple cart. I says, Carol, my goal is to tear the apple cart down, flip it over. You're going out the front door. I'm not asking you for permission to disrupt your apple cart. we're going to kick it over. And you're right about those special interest group. I won't mention the name. He was a Republican member, and he spent about 8 years up there, and he finally got out because he knew if he stayed any longer, he'd become just like the trash up there. And let me put it this way. Pigs don't know pig stink. Why do you think politicians like to hang out with each other? They don't know they smell. You think about it. Pigs don't know pig stink. You and I know the stink. Mm-hmm. And what they've been shoveling so long. Problem is, many people out here, I don't want to get involved. Really? Then you should never complain about what any governor, any elected official ever does. And Austin or Washington call you don't want to get involved. We need to become part of the solution. Like you said, being collectively working together. Special interest, you need to be worried. If Larry Baggett makes it to the governor's office, you need to be very concerned. You need to be very concerned because I got no use for people who want to violate the trust of the voters out here. We have one job if you're elected official, and that's to represent the people the best as we can humanly possibly do. And when it goes south, you need to be able to stand up and go, hey, man, it happened on my shift. And although that's going to be far-fetched, or any politician go, you know what? It's my fault.
Yeah.
And anyone that knows me personally will tell you that I'm the first to stand up and say, you know what? I messed up. Yeah. It was on my shift it happened. It's my responsibility. And I'm sorry. In 53 years, I've never heard any elected official go, you know what? It's my fault.
Because so many politicians try to divert the blame, and no one wants to take accountability. I just look at I think it was just Dan Patrick blamed the Black community for the rise of COVID numbers. How asinine is that?
I had to find that statement. I'm going, I can't even describe in my head what was going on. Be honest, I'm like, are you crazy? Oh my God! And you're lieutenant governor, therefore meaning you ain't got to be that sharp to be lieutenant governor if you come up with stuff like that with your head. It's like, dude, blame it. Hey, here's what the thing is. I'm gonna tell you one about excuses. If it's okay, I'll tell you just a little quick story. Do you have time?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I got one for you. But people around me have heard it before. Man goes to his neighbor and says, man, hey, Joe, can I borrow your lawnmower tonight? Mine's broke. And Joe looks at him and says, I don't know, bro. I just don't know if tonight is Tuesday night, and my wife's cooking meatloaf, right? And he says, but I just don't know if it's a good night for you to borrow a lawnmower. And he said, well, what did being Tuesday night and your wife cooking meatloaf have to do with it? He said, really nothing. But I figure any excuse will work. And that's the way they're working this. That's what they're about. They just say my cat's pregnant and go with it. Make it sound good, because all we're talking about when they come up with excuses is they're saying that I do not have leadership. I am not a person of responsibility nor leadership. We don't have leaders in most of these elected offices no more. They have no clue what it is to be a leader. Stands out in the front. A leader's willing to take a punch in the face if that's what it takes. And you know what? Like I tell anybody, I used to pick on the bullies. I said, you hit me first, then we'll talk about it. Right? Not promoting violence. I'm just saying that I'm that guy. I am that guy. Anyone knows me will tell you, oh, he's that guy.
Hey, look, Larry. Hey, if they throw the first punch, then you have nothing but full force to hit them back. That's exactly how I was taught. That's exactly my mama taught me. Don't start no fights, but you surely can defend yourself. Yeah. So I'm all about that, man.
Well, I used to watch this out of all seriousness in school. I was a big kid. I used to get picked on a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But if I seen them picking on you or a smaller guy, no. And I don't know why I was so quick to jump in and grab them and say, nah, hit me first. How about that? Then you can try that person. But maybe that's that fight in me that's stand up for right, doing the right thing when it's not popular. That's the problem. We have people running for offices. They don't know what right is. They know what they want. They're not about service. They're about serving themselves. And I'm that guy. I will stand up. It's like I don't want to get on to Afghanistan, but the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, I don't care if I was a general or an E1. I was standing on that wall with my weapon and my battle gear. We going in. I don't care how it ends. We're going to stand shoulder to shoulder. I would not be in the rear with the gear trying to guide a fight.
Yeah.
The fight is from the front, and Larry Baggett will lead that charge, whether the politicians like it or not, right?
Exactly, man. And that's what we need. We need more fighters in politics. So many people get into politics for a popularity contest. It's all about me. It's about what I think the people need. I don't go out there and hear what the people need. It's what's my interpretation of what the people need. And so many politicians need to get rid of that way of thinking and see and listen to the people, because the people will tell you what they want. You know, I look at Greg Abbott and how he just tried to divert, like how he's doing everything to divert from our power grid, and how bad that situation is. I mean, not only did we have problems in the winter, but we had problems in the summer. In the summer, we had rolling blackouts during the summer. I mean, it's just, you know, just trying to not take the accountability at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. Hey, don't worry, it's this pregnant cat. That's what the problem is with right now, right? I know that's a little smart, but it's true, right? It's always diverting, you know? So, but it's just like I told you earlier before we started the podcast here, that this Friday I will be down in Mission, Texas, meeting with the mayor and a couple other folks, and then getting out and meeting the people that having to deal with this border problem and asking them, what can we do to work together to fix this problem? Not politicians going, all right, y'all good old people, y'all just let us handle it. We'll take our security details and we'll go back to our mansions and our high-end living in. You shouldn't be angry with them people breaking in your house, committing armed robbery. You know, they have a right too.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Just craziness. So, Larry, this is one thing you talked about. You talked about getting people back to work. How do you plan to do that and deal with that in this COVID crisis world? How do you plan to get people back to work safely?
Well, I think foremost, we've got to get people out of this mindset of waiting on the stimulus check. We have went from a working class people to people waiting on the bread line to come by. They gonna feed us, and remember, when they start feeding you, they gonna call that marker in. You just sit there and want that check. They gonna call that marker, and you gonna owe them. And I think that's the first thing. We have a mindset issue. If you've driven around Houston, how many signs you see help wanted? They're all contemplating. But you talk to people, I make more money waiting on the stimulus check. Really? Really? That is what you're trying to show your children, that working isn't ethical? So, you know, I think from what I'm gathering, as per to put people back to work, this COVID is an issue. I think if you're a business and you hire me to come in and your policy is I wear a mask because that's what you require me to have. Mm-hmm. For me to protest, you have no right. But you know what? We can put people back to work. We just got to set some guidelines. And as you go to work for any company, they all have guidelines.
They all have guidelines, yes.
And you people, well, now they can't force me to take a shot. No, you're right. They can't. But they can't deny you employment because that's their mandate for you to have it now. And I worked overseas, and in the military, I cannot tell you how many shots I had that wasn't approved. My God, man, I don't think the COVID-19 test do much for me because the simple fact is they shot us with so many unapproved drugs. I was in the military in 1987, got out in 98, and then I went to Iraq and then Afghanistan. Oh Lord, come on, line up. We got to get some more shots today, guys. We don't know what they're, just go with them. But seriously, back to a serious note, everyone has a prerequisite. And it's not a complicated thing to get people back to work. Like you say, you can see jobs every day. They are begging for people to come to work. My God, get off your lazy butts. Somebody's trying to give you a hand up and you want to slap because you want a handout. That's insanity itself. So we have the job. We have the capability to put people back to work. They got all kinds of safety standards in place. I think it's wonderful in restaurants that they give the employees options to wear a mask. I thought, hey, that's kind of a nice deal even before COVID came along, right? Because how many people you smelled their breath when they stand 5 feet away from you? Sir, what would you like to drink? Not that, right? Not that. I'm sorry. I try to throw a little in there because these are serious issues. But if you can't just relax and laugh sometime in your life, laugh at the crazy stuff, because if you don't, you'll go insane. So anyway, we can put them back to work. And there's much, I know that there are experts who, if I was sitting in the office of the governor's office, I would say, guys, girls, what can we do to get our folks really back to work where they're feeling safe and secure once again? Because Larry Baggett don't have all the answers. I have many answers. Hey, you probably got better answers than me if you think about it, right? So, it's hard to be as smart as me, so won't you tell us?
Yeah.
Crazy. And let's be honest, but I think collectively working together, that we got the jobs out there. There's no question about it. Even with the COVID-19 running around, they put some good safety features in location. You go into a chemical plant. I used to drive chemical trucks. You had masks. Yeah. Can you imagine me out there in the chemical plant going, I ain't wearing no mask today. All right. I ain't coming home. I'm out of here, man. And see, people don't look at it that way. They're like, oh, you can't force me. But, anyway, back to what you were saying, the jobs are there. We can put people back to work. We just got to get them out of that mindset of stop looking for a handout and take a hand up in life. And we can move ahead. And we will get past this. We're resilient people. We're not stupid. We're not in a third world country somewhere. We're not in a bombed out Afghanistan or Iraq and all that. We're in the great state of Texas, which is part of the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And we have the ingenuity and capability to conquer anything if we can put the crap aside and start thinking about other people than ourselves. Hopefully I didn't wrap too much on that.
Oh, no, Larry. You said something really great. We can literally do anything here in America. We put a man on the moon. There is no testament to the things that we could do here in America. I mean, I do believe we are the greatest country on this earth when we put our minds to it. And like you said, when we put behind the crap and the bureaucracy and the corruption, once we put that aside, we can really do anything. There is no limit to the things that we can reach. So I want to ask you another question, Larry. There's a lot of people talking about children wearing masks. So what is your stance for mask wearing for children who are not eligible to receive the vaccine?
Are we talking about school environment or?
We're talking about school and
And okay, here's my take on it. We have local municipalities. We have school boards, and they try to look at things as a whole and say, okay, what is the best safety measure we can take for our students? And I believe if the school board, not Austin, Texas, not the governor, no one up there, but your local school board says, hey, we want the students to wear masks in school, right? Now, if the option of, you have a parent to say, hey, I don't want my child wearing a mask, fine. If there is an option for remote learning, let them use it. The thing is, the school board do the best they can do, but be watchful now, because we know there are many elected officials in local municipalities who love to overreach their authority. You have to be cognitively aware of these people. And I understand as governor, you want to minimize interfering in local governments, but sometimes you have to chime in. But when you make it a policy to chime in on everything, 1 minute you're going to force yourself on them. Next minute, how dare you tell people they have to wear masks? How dare you? Look, you got to decide where you at, man. You just can't. This isn't a tennis game. You can't play both sides of the court. Get out of local politics. Get back to the state's business. That is how I see it.
Yeah. Let the local cities, let them. They are the ones who have to deal with their constituents. They know what's affecting their constituents. They're the ones looking at the numbers every day. So why would you try and come from Austin, sitting on top of your hill, trying to govern when you're not even. At least try and organize with them. See what they're saying. Don't just come out and say like we've been saying all throughout the show. Politicians just need to stop feeling like, oh, I know everything. Like you know what you know, but you have to get that community's outreach to and their input to really create a policy or craft a policy that's going to be totally effective for that community, for that city, or whoever you're trying to govern.
Yes, sir. And there's one community I want to bring up. It's not the state of Texas, and what you just talked about, the community making these decisions. Floyd, New Mexico. The education from their state capital tried to force Floyd, oh, you will wear a mask. There again, getting involved. And Floyd's a very small community, right? Mm-hmm. But and they're standing up. Of course, just all the school boards members are suspended again because they stand up against overreach, oppressive government that they have in New Mexico. And now, if you're talking about Las Cruces, New Mexico school system, whole different category. But when you're talking about somewhere like Floyd, New Mexico, with a small population, that their numbers are nowhere near as it would be in Las Cruces, right? But there again, that segment, that's why when I go to the border and talk to those folks down there, they live there. They see it. They know what they need to make it right, to fix the problem. And not someone sitting in Austin that occasionally goes by the border and say, look, I came to the border. Everyone say cheese now. We can go back to our safe zone now. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. That's so horrible. So Larry, I want to ask you another question. I want to ask you about government overreach. And what do you feel like the government is overreaching the most on?
The government is overreaching on every area of life. They have gotten into your bedroom and they gotten into your private business. And I remember as a young kid, I remember hearing the parents say, oh, great, now the government's in our bedroom telling us how we can have intimate relations with the person we with. And my whole take on it is we're going to get out of your bedroom, we're going to get out of your private business, and we're going to get back to running the state's business. We got too many important issues being neglected. But as for like Governor Abbott, like we talked about, 1 minute, we're going to shut the whole state down, period. Next minute, we're going to open it. Oh, wear a mask. No, don't wear a mask. Decide, man. And let's be honest, he's pandering. He's pandering to the public. And he's hoping come November next year that they will say, oh, Governor Abbott actually did a good thing. But he's indecisive on what he's doing now. And instead, he should have just simply said, look, I made a mistake. I shut the state down. I shouldn't have shut it down. We should have did better than we did. But he didn't. No one has done that. They've all excused themselves. They got the pregnant cat syndrome, right? They've all excused themselves. And this government overreach, I'm telling you right now, I get so irate about that subject because I would just want to say, who do you think you are? Why would you come in my house and tell me what I can and can't do? It's like an abusive relationship, in my opinion. Somebody comes in, they start beating the crap out of you, and they go, well, who are you to tell me to stop doing that? And that's how the government is. Look what happened when Governor Abbott overstepped his authority. All of a sudden, local mayors, judges, did you see all the powers all these people gave themselves that no one ever told them they had? They watch these governors overstep their boundary and they go, hey, guess we can do it too. No one's going to tell us, but we got to stop. You folks need to stop letting these officials overstep their authority. And that's why I'll go back to what I said early on. is given the opportunity to serve the state of Texas, I guarantee you, the day I sit down in office, within 24 to 48 hours, I will sign the executive order stating that after so many days, it must go to the legislator and then it must go to the Texas Supreme Court. And we will not, the governor, myself, or no one needs unchecked powers. And this is what it's about. They claim, well, I love the ones I hear people, well, this is something new. No, you don't get it. We've had other things that were new, and we didn't overreach our authorities. We had other diseases pop up. They didn't shut down a country, and I understand there's a lot more to it, and we can't get into all that because I'm not a medical expert. Far from it. I know how to take an aspirin if I get a headache, right? Just in case I get one too. Anyway, the gist is my full intention is shut down the governor's office from overreaching, and that would go into effect, that executive order would go into effect, that it would immediately, Larry Baggett could not violate that order. Yeah. But if you use the word must and shall in any laws, there's no gray area. They like to use the word, well, maybe, might. You know what they're saying? They won't want room to wiggle. They want room to violate. Well, right here it says maybe and might, so we don't really need to today, do we? Right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's so much about government overreach I just hate, and it's just like I've said repetitively. If you watch some of my videos out there, I says I don't care what Washington D.C. wants because it's about Texas first and Texas last. These are the people who live in this great state of Texas. Washington, D.C., stay out of Texas because we can handle our own business. We don't need a big brother coming down here telling you, you really don't need to be saying that on your show. Matter of fact, let's just shut you down. That First Amendment, right? That's kind of a pesky little thing, right? But I'm giving you this. You better be sure if you vote Larry Baggett as your next governor, you better understand I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to stand my ground because the people of Texas expects a governor to govern and be that person that willing to take a punch in the face no matter what it may cost. And people have to understand that, because that's why, I'm running as a conservative Democrat because I believe in the middle of the road, we can work together. Well, I think did you hear that statement that Tyler Perry made a few months ago? The far right and the far left, nothing happens. It's in the middle where permanent change happens. And in the middle where Larry Baggett will work with the legislator, Democrat, Republican. I don't care about their party affiliation. The most important thing, what are we going to do for Texans? What are we going to do for these people here? I don't want to hear about Washington, D.C. I don't want to hear about some highway you want to build somewhere out in Tussle, Texas. What are we going to do for the people of Texas? How are we going to represent them in the right way? The honor that they given us as elected officials, we have to be men and women of accountability, and there would be no acceptable any other way that I will take that.
Larry, I think you said something really great there, man. I think people need to stop focusing on the right or the left and just focus on policy that changes people's lives and changes the working class lives and the people that have been totally disenfranchised by the system. And I think if more politicians can focus on that and stop focusing or left and right and just focus on policy that changes people's lives, we will have a better system. And so we need more politicians like that, man. And we need more fighters and fire starters like yourself and Chase West and so many other people that we had on the show. Charles Thompson. So we definitely need representatives who are going to fight and not going to be in the pockets of special interests and just worry about what the people are asking for.
Yes, sir. You are correct. This is like Chase West. I met him, and he's much like me. He just believes in list government by common sense, and we know that we don't agree on everything. And I know I can look to him and say, hey, man, if I am elected as the next governor and I say something stupid, hold my feet to the fire and say, hey, Larry, whatever you're smoking, either give me some or stop. People do that. Be honest. What are you smoking, man? Can I have some? It's even the people that are going to oppose me. They're going to oppose me because I'm not a politician. I'm from the working class. I'm from the middle class in this state. That we make this happen. We the working class, and they don't like me because I'm not a politician. I'm outside that realm, and I'm going, oh well, I guess you ain't gonna like me. But at the end of the day, we got to work together. And even if you hate me, I'm still going to do my best to work for you because you're a Texan and you expect a governor to be fair and balanced and not narrow-minded, prejudiced, racist, and divisionary. This is the crazy stuff these people are doing. Hey, like you said, that Dan Patrick, what?
Yeah. I don't even understand that. But, that's just not taking accountability. Like we've been talking about the whole entire show. It's the pregnant cat. It's the lady walking down the street. I couldn't tie my shoes. The sun got in my eyes. It's whatever they can just possibly throw at the wall and stick. And, sometimes the base will just eat it up. They'll just be like, yeah. And
That you're exactly right. But it's accountability. And like I said, man, I tell you what, I'm 53 years old, and I'm not going to sit here and betray like, look how wonderful I am. But let me say, and somebody told me, you should never say that, Larry. Let me count the ways of making a bad decision. I can write a book myself. But you know what? At the end of the day, Larry Baggett is sitting here at 53 because the decision I either made or didn't made. And all I have to do is go find the mirror and ask that guy looking back at me. Remember Michael Jackson in that song, The Man in the Mirror? You want to make a change with that man first. And they ain't just words in a song. They have some validity to whoever wrote that song. And we can be the change. But we have to take responsibility for what we do or don't do in life. And say, you know what? Maybe next time I won't make such a horrible decision, Yeah. So I don't want people to think at all that I'm trying to portray them. I'm a real person. I get up early in the morning. I go to work about 2:30 in the morning, and I get off about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually by then it's like, whoo, Lord, hey, Jesus, man. But anyway, let's go ahead and move forward past that point. I'm sorry, man.
Oh no, it's all good, Larry. And those are important issues, and man, that's what we like to talk about here on the show. We like to get down to the nitty gritty. We like to talk about like how candidates are going to better the lives of people, and we like to talk about how some people just aren't accountable to that messaging or that vision. And we like having candidates on here that like you said, we're not going to agree on everything, but as long as you're fighting for the people and that you're going to listen to them and focus on their interests and not the interests of these corporations and the lobbyists and the donor class, then that's all we can ask for, because politicians don't even have that. And I've seen you, man. You gotta you're going around. You're making your face known throughout the state of Texas, throughout the city of Houston and stuff like that. And that's definitely what's needed, because you have to see your politicians to know your politicians, and have that relatability and that that connectability.
That's so true. And politicians you watch, and professional politicians, they talk down to people like you and I. They spend their time looking their noses. Here's an experience I had. I went to Austin, Texas months back, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't catch his name, but when he got out of this SUV with a security detail, I knew he was a Texas senator. Lord have mercy, I'm glad it wasn't raining that day. He had a drown. He is so far, and I could feel the vibration from this man. He was just, I'm me. I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. Even if you're shooting at me, I might wave at you and say, "Hey, good morning, you missed, though," right? That's me. That's that's the way I choose to be. But this guy, I was like, oh my God, the arrogance that you have portrayed. And I'm not gonna say what party I could, but as soon as I seen on his mask that he had a Senate symbol, I knew he was a Texas senator. I'm going, oh my God, dude. But you got to be relatable. If people think you're patronizing them or saying, that's a good boy, Johnny, you just go right ahead and get angry. And then they go back and say, Johnny, think I heard him. What was it? His name was Johnny, right? Come on. Don't be ugly to people. You know, they expect better out of their elected officials. And unfortunately, our elected official let so many people down. But remember, they're not there because they voted themselves in. So we as voters, if you keep voting the same way, you're just as culpable to the offense as a person sitting in office. When you go in and put your blindfold on and go, okay, I'm gonna vote all Republican, I'm gonna vote all Democrat, I'm gonna vote all this, you are culpable in the offense itself. You are part to this party, and don't blame them all. You know, we like to point always to them. No, they didn't get there without the votes, and the people have got to start waking up and stop buying the same garbage. It's like a pretty box. You know, well, we love Christmas gifts, right? Ain't that kind of cool, man? A little box, you got all that pretty stuff. And wouldn't it be crazy if, say, a friend of yours, hey, man, I got a gift for you, a real pretty box, right? And then you're excited about that box. You open it up, and there's nothing in it. Well, that's what the political establishment has continued to do to people. But the people still want the empty box. It's hot air in there, but I want the pretty box. It has nothing in it, right? So we can't just put it off on the elected officials. They've not been held accountable. The people keep voting them in. And if you really want a difference, come November, Larry Baggett will be on the ballot. And the point is, if you want a difference, you'll vote for him. If not, if you want status quo, don't want to interrupt your dinner time, your playtime, keep voting for politicians. You're going to get it, but don't ever complain because you voted them in. Don't say my cat's pregnant, whatever. Just you gave them permission to do that because you're not holding them accountable. And I ask everybody, even if you support me or oppose me, if I get up there and start sounding crazy, you need to hold my feet to the fire. You need to make sure I don't go to sleep at night without somebody standing out in my window and go, hey, Larry, I thought you said, no matter what, you need to hold me accountable. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you I'm wrong. And I will course correct if need be after getting further information on the subject. I'm not afraid of saying I'm wrong. My God, that's an opportunity to grow. If you're willing to listen to other people and not be arrogant, you can actually learn something from someone that don't like you. They might be able to help you tweak something about your personality. Exactly.
Right? Man, Larry, you said it, man. You said it, bro. And so I really want to wish you luck on your journey for office, man. We are definitely going to put all of your contact info in the description. So y'all go check out Larry. Y'all go check out his platform. Y'all go follow him in his race to change Texas and fight for people in Texas. Because that's definitely what we need.
And what I really like to say is, hey, folks, and I'm gonna throw it out there. We got to start raising campaign funds. This ain't no free ride for none of us. The wealthy, the high-end people, they got their $40 and $50 million. Remember, and they think they can buy an election. But at the end of the day, like I told somebody, it's the voters are. So yeah, I need your support. I'm not afraid to ask for it. I'm not stupid to go. No, I don't have a $40 million war chest laying around. Actually, I had to juggle bills like every one of y'all do, decide which one we gonna pay and who's not gonna turn off what when, right? Mm-hmm. But just is. Go to Larry, like I said, look me up. I did a speaking engagement in November 2019, and I talk about leadership there because I started a company called Clear Vision Communications. So, hey, I don't want to take up no more time, but I want to throw one more in there for Mr. Chase West. Remember, House District 132, that man will stand and fight for the people. He will use common sense to lead his district. And remember, we got to get that man up there because Texas needs somebody like him serving in the House.
Definitely. Yes, we need more fire starters. We need more fire starters like yourself and Chase. And so I wish both of you men good luck in your efforts to, change Texas. And I want to thank you for coming on the show, Larry.
And I want to thank you for what you guys do. Thank you for getting the message out to people everywhere and being fair and balanced and being open out there, brother. You guys keep up the awesome work. And then it was an honor and a pleasure to be a guest on your show tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. So I'm gonna close us out right here. I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, like, comment, and share. Like we said, we're gonna have Larry Baggett's info in the description. Y'all go click on that. Y'all check him out. I want to thank, like I said before, we want to thank everybody for watching. You can find us anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. This is Raw Take. This is our Monday live stream. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a blessed day.